actively searching for their next future ex-wives. It's the nice guys on business. Oh yeah, they know how to treat the ladies.
Most of us have got some wounds and some baggage and some scars, and we've been hurt, betrayed, ghosted, gaslighted, and so a lot of us have trust issues. We're not as able to be as open. We're afraid of being vulnerable. We're a little guarded. We're a little suspicious because the past is alive in us.
One isn't the loneliest number, not by a long shot. The nice guys on business. Now that's the definition of lonely. Go from where you are now to where you could be. Get expert tips to grow your business, to be more productive and more efficient, whether you're trying to build influence, grow your community, or make it rain. Best-selling author of Nice Guys Finish First, Doug Sandler, can lead the way. The Nice Guys on Business is produced by Turnkey Podcast Productions. Now, here's your host, Doug Sandler.
What's your relationship fitness level, man? Are you in shape to attract a healthy relationship? Certified relationship coach Roy Biancalana. He's here on the show today to help you recognize some of the key aspects to building your relationship fitness level. He's an e-course creator. He's a best-selling author. He's a relationship expert, and he's here to share his wisdom. If you're ready to recognize some of the signs that maybe today is the day that you want to start getting healthier with your relationships, we are doing that right now. Welcome, Roy, to the podcast.
Oh, what a great intro. That just gets me all excited. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
I'm ready to talk to you. And, sometimes I'm going to take some of the questions and I'm going to pose them as from a friend. Just going to be asking for myself though. Right. And you may even know JJ.
Yeah, we're all the same.
We're all the same. So why don't we start with just like somebody's relationship health? A lot of people really don't even know if they have a good, they're not in shape, or they maybe not even recognize. What are some of the signs, or maybe what's some of the early stages of talking about this that would help get the path going in the right direction?
Right. So most of us have an ego. Okay, some stronger than others, I guess. But one of the things that we sort of fall into is we think that whatever relationship problems that we have are because of the other person, or it's men, it's women, it's the online dating. There's just a tendency to kind of point the finger at everybody but us. And just as a quick little story, I was married for 19 years and that became a platonic relationship. It fell apart. And then I rebounded into I got divorced and rebounded into a highly sexual relationship. We're just like the opposite of it, which a lot of us do. We rebound the opposite direction. Was in that one for 2.5 years. It fell apart. We were engaged. She dumped me 6 months before the wedding. And then, of course, just to deal with that pain, I joined about 4 different dating sites and dated a lot of women and stuff, and just drama everywhere in my love life. And I'm telling you, Doug, for the longest time, I thought it was all their fault. I really didn't notice that I was the common denominator in every single picture. So my first breakthrough started when I said, maybe it's me, or maybe I'm missing something about me. Maybe I'm doing something to attract the wrong women or these dynamics, or maybe I'm doing something to create the pattern. So that was the first big shift. And I find it's true in solving any problem. I don't care if it's in your business. I don't care if it's in your personal life. Mm-hmm. If you're pointing the finger and you're looking out there away, you're not going to have many aha moments. But when you start to think, well, maybe I'm responsible for this in some way that I'm not aware of, like maybe I'm unconsciously doing something. Maybe I've got a blind spot. Maybe I've got a childhood pattern or something that's playing itself out. The minute I started asking those questions, the light bulb started going off, and I started to discover that, yes, indeed, I was responsible for what I was experiencing. And so that's probably the starting point of any real change in your life, is taking responsibility. And the ego hates it, just loves to point the finger.
So Roy, what are, it's easy when you kind of looking at a math equation and somebody gives you the answer and then you're like, oh, well, of course that makes sense, because now I can reverse engineer it to make this work. In some cases that will work. Me and my math skills, not so much the case, but what are some of the questions that you're supposed to ask yourself in order to start looking a little bit more inward to the answers to those questions about what your relationship health is all about.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a great way to put the question. And let me answer it with kind of an analogy that I think really speaks to the perspective here. Okay. So just imagine that somebody out there listening to this, you want to do really, really well in a triathlon. You want to compete in a triathlon. You want to do well. And so imagine I'm a triathlon coach. Like I've run the Ironman, I've won the Ironman. Now I'm retired. Now I help people. Okay. None of that's true, of course. I own a car if I have to go that far. Okay. So,
I understand.
but just play with me. Okay.
Yep.
And so you hire me to be your coach. Great. And we sit down and you start peppering me with questions about, how do you survive in the water in the beginning when you can just about get drowned? And how do you make the transitions from the water to the running and then from the running, to the bike and then to the bike to the running? And, you're out there all day. So how much do you eat? When do you eat? How much water do you drink? And you're asking all these important questions. And it starts to dawn on me as an experienced triathlete that you're asking me questions about race day.
Mm-hmm.
You're asking me strategy questions. You're asking me about how to succeed like in the race.
Yeah.
And I'm an experienced triathlete coach. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, those are important questions, but you're missing the boat, dude. You're not asking the right question. The right question is, how do I get in shape for this thing?
Yeah.
Right. Because if you're 50 pounds overweight, I don't care how good your strategy is, you're going to drown in the water. You're not going to make it. You'll never go the distance. Right. So here's what happens in our love lives. People hire me or they begin to think about their relationships and they want to know strategies. Like, where do I meet someone? How do I approach them? What do I say? How do I flirt? You're talking about what do I do when I'm already on the starting line? Okay. And the starting line for me and what I do working with single people who would like to attract a healthy, sustainable relationship is that moment when you're face to face. Maybe it happens through online dating. Maybe you met somebody at the grocery store. Maybe somebody fixed you up. Who knows when you're going to be standing face to face. Just like if you're on the starting line in a triathlon and you're not in shape, you're not going the distance.
Right.
It's the same way. If you get to the starting line in a relationship and you're not prepared to go the distance, then I don't care how good of a strategy. I don't care how funny you are. I don't care how pretty you are. I don't care.
Right.
It's going to end up going somewhere that is going to be disappointing. So I try to get people to focus on getting prepared, getting yourself what I call in relationship shape. Okay. So I use the fitness metaphor for our love lives. And it's like, what does it mean to get in shape so that when I do meet that person, or if I'm already in a relationship and maybe it's not as healthy as it needs to be, or it's not as deep and connected as it could be, first off, it's important you don't point the finger. It's because my wife or because my husband or my partner is an idiot or something. No, it's maybe I'm not in good enough shape. And so I've identified in my newest book, it's right there over my shoulder. I don't know if we're probably not doing video, but
that's okay.
My newest book is Relationship Boot Camp.
Yep.
Okay, so it's in that flavor of workout, hardcore training for life, love, and the pursuit of intimacy. And I've identified, to keep the metaphor going, 7 relationship muscles. These are deep, important parts of our lives that need to be in good shape. These muscles need to be strong if you're going to create something healthy and sustainable. And most of us are sort of flabby in these things. Yeah. Maybe we have a couple strengths, but there's too many muscles that are weak and our relationships show it. So the question really becomes like, how do I get myself in better relationship shape to change the trajectory of the relationship I'm already in? Or the next time I meet someone to kind of get this ball rolling in the right direction and we can go the distance together. So that's the focus.
What do you say to the guy that's out there that, this is your zone of genius. This is the stuff that you work within every day. And I was thinking, as you were telling me the beginning part of your journey that you went on with the marriage that lasted a while, and then you had the starter marriage second. I always joke around with my relationships. I was married for almost 20 years, got divorced, got into a second marriage that probably lasted very similar to yours, about 2, not marriage in your case, but in my case, I got married. It lasted about 4.5 years by the time the marriage and the dating thing was over. You're immersed in this all the time and you got it wrong. I'm just an idiot. Of course I'm going to get it wrong. How do I begin? What's like my beginning work? The stuff that I'm going to say, you know what? I'm not going to get disappointed. I realize that the common denominator in all my failed relationships is me. I know that, but I've got to begin to take those first steps towards a healthy relationship, getting my relationships in shape. How do I even begin? Because it seems to me, gosh, it'd be so it's going to be my biggest challenge, just getting started.
Yeah, it can seem overwhelming. And by the way, I didn't become, quote, an expert until after all of that nightmare, right? So I became a coach because, after I went through all that, and then I started to recognize maybe it's me. And so I hired a coach. And sure enough, it was.
Well, right? Curious, what'd you do before that? I'm just curious. Where were you before all that stuff?
I was a professional golfer.
Oh,
right?
That's right. I do remember that. That's right. Our good buddy Michael Neely
tour. Yeah. Right. I did all that stuff. I still play competitively, kind of on the side as like a hobby. In fact, I just won a tournament yesterday.
Good for you. Congratulations.
Yeah. So I kind of got into this because I hired a coach to help me work on me. And that was so powerful because it led to me meeting and dating and falling in love with an amazing woman. Now we're together for 13 years. I turned around and said, I want to do for others what my coach did for me. So no, I was like a normal dude just trying to my professional life was successful, but I couldn't make a relationship with a woman work to save my life. So I didn't have this info. Now I do. And that's one reason why my relationship is healthy. So where do you start? Well, you would probably start by trying to discover what your current relationship fitness level is. Like maybe even reading my book that describes these 7 muscles and reading from the perspective of evaluating yourself in each of these areas. Saying, okay, how am I doing in that area? Because the book describes what being healthy, what those muscles are when they're strong. What's that like? It kind of describes what it would be to show up as kind of a person who's really awakened in relationships, kind of enlightened, kind of grounded, kind of coming from essence rather than ego and so forth. So it would start by kind of evaluating where you are now. And I tell people, if you went into a gym and you were going to hire a personal trainer to get you in shape, right? So what your goal is, you would tell the trainer, listen, I want to lose X amount of pounds, or I want to get to this kind of strength, or I'm training for this kind of event. So the trainer knows the goal, but a good trainer, the first thing they're going to do is put you through a bunch of assessments to see where you are, right? It's like, let's see where you're strong and weak. Let's look at your flexibility, your core stability, your aerobic strength, your muscle strength. And once we know where you are, then I can design a plan to get you where you want to go, right? So most of us would start by saying, well, what's my fitness level? Right. And so some of the muscles that I talk about in my book, the juiciest one probably is your relationship to your past. Okay. Most of us, other than the babies in the maternity ward, most of us have got some wounds and some baggage and some scars, and we've been hurt, betrayed, ghosted, gaslighted, and so a lot of us have trust issues. We're not as able to be as open. We're afraid of being vulnerable. We're a little guarded. We're a little suspicious because the past is alive in us. All right. If the last 3 people you've been with all cheated on you, when you meet the next person, you're going to be a little like, what are you going to do? Right.
Yeah.
So, but that's not fair to the new relationship because that's got nothing to do with the one in the past, but it really does, because sometimes I make this joke, Doug, that most of our relationships are like having a menage a trois from hell, meaning it's me and it's you and my past. And the 3 of us are in this relationship. Okay.
Absolutely.
So that's a major one. We have this relationship to our emotions, right? Now, guy to guy here, and this may be sexist, but I don't think us guys are very emotionally intelligent. I don't know if we come from the factory with an ability to understand emotions, express them in healthy ways. And I do think the feminine people are a little bit more comfortable in that arena, but sometimes they too can get overwhelmed by emotions. We can blame each other for them. So if you're going to have a decent relationship with anybody, I don't care if it's with your kid, you have to have some emotional intelligence. You need to know how to be with your own feelings and express them. You need to know how to stand in the storm of maybe your partner's emotions and be able to handle that and work with that. So that's an area. Another one would be your relationship to what I call your inner truth, the communication muscle, right? How authentic are we? How much do we reveal what we're actually feeling and thinking and wanting versus how much do we sort of play a game to try to control the conversation, to kind of control the other person's response, right? Especially in the dating realm, we do something that I've got a new term. I might need to copyright this term or something.
I won't give it up. I promise you. Share it.
I call it redactive dating. You know how government will send out a document and it's all black line. This is the part we want you to see. This is the part you can't see. It's like we date that way. Yeah. We show up and say, okay, so I'm going to show you the parts that I think will make you like me and make you want, but I'm going to hide the parts that I think you might judge or you might be turned off by, or you might misunderstand. And so there's a pretense very often in our relationships. We don't date. I call it dating naked. We don't here I am,
warts and all.
I'm not hiding. I'm not going to hide from you. I'm just going to be open. I'm going to be vulnerable. If you don't like it, okay, you don't like it. But I don't want to play a game trying to get you to like me, because then if you do fall in love with me, you've only fallen in love with the part I've shown you. So I never get to feel really secure because I'm over here thinking, well, wait till she knows I've got a temper, or wait till they find out I'm a little jealous and insecure. I don't want to show any of that. I don't want to admit that. I don't want to, bring anything forward in the dating process that I think you might say, oh my God, you're high maintenance or you're neurotic. We're all neurotic, right? So these are some of the things, and there's 7 of these major issues that a person needs to kind of work on if you want to create a magnificent relationship. I mean, if you just want a mediocre relationship where the goal is you don't kill each other and you sort of tolerate life together, anybody can do that, frankly. I mean, that's not hard. But if you want something to be deep and meaningful and where you really enjoy each other and you grow together and you feel like I can't be as great of a person as I am without that person in my life. They add something to me. They call something out of me. They support me. They inspire me. If you want that kind of relationship, then that means you have to work on you and get yourself in shape, right? So that's the starting point, is what kind of shape am I in, right?
So if you want to determine what kind of shape you're in and you're listening to this podcast episode right now, the best place to go to right now would be to coachingwithroy.com. Just go to his website. On the website, just on the right-hand side, I'd give you a long URL. No need to do that. It's directly on here. The Relationship Fitness Self-Test. It's a 30-question test. It takes literally 5 minutes to go through. It's the easiest thing. Basically, all yes/no answers, or just really easy answers. True, false. Yeah. Right. Sorry. Yes, no. True, false. True, false answers for you to go through, and it really will. I was about halfway through it, and I'm like, oh shoot, I got to go meet with Roy. Yeah. I just discovered it as I was looking back through some of my notes. I'm like, oh, I want to take this, so I will be finalizing that as we go we go through this.
Yeah, a couple things about it. Well, first, the confidentiality is off the charts high. Even I get notified someone took the test, but I have no idea what your results are. And you will get your results. And to keep it in the fitness metaphor, you get put into one of 5 categories. You're either relationally ripped, okay, which nobody's ever scored that. Maybe if Jesus took the test, okay, or something, or Buddha took the test, all right? I'm not in that category. So you're either ripped or you're skinny fat, okay? Yep. Mm-hmm. Or you're overweight or you're unhealthy, or you're in the lowest category, which is where I was. Even though I wrote the test, I took it from the mentality that I had before I worked with my coach. And my wife took it before the mentality she had before. She had done like 2 years of therapy before she met me. So we had both been training, you could say, before we met each other. And we both scored in the lowest category, which is dangerously out of shape. Okay. And it showed. My love life was, I mean, if I scored high on the test is crap, right? So I scored poorly and my love life showed it. Okay. So it's a great way to kind of get an idea of where you're starting from. You get your results immediately, and you also then get recommendations on what to do. I don't just kind of get you all dressed up and just leave you hanging. Like, no, okay, so you're in the unhealthy category. Well, here are 3 things you can do immediately to start to address that. So you're not just diagnosed, you're given a treatment plan, right? And ultimately, of course, to work with me, to call me up and say, can you be my relationship trainer? Can you help me work on some of these things? Because you're probably going to get results that are not glowing, right? I mean, because you probably wouldn't be listening to this if your love life was fantastic.
So I'm curious, what's the difference between let's say a relationship coach, relationship trainer? What's the difference between that type of person and a therapist or a counselor? I don't necessarily care about the degrees. I'm talking more about the learning.
The focus.
Yeah,
There's
focus.
A difference in focus. Very quickly and simply, I would say, because my wife is a therapist, okay? Therapy, counseling, the people that take insurance, the people that have been trained specifically for things like PTSD, clinical depression, bipolar, borderline. Therapy is for people that need healing. In other words, imagine someone's in a car accident and their leg is broken, the bone's sticking out, like Tiger Woods went through that not long ago, okay? So he needs healing. He doesn't need someone to teach him how to do yoga or to dance. He's not ready for that yet. So therapy, I think, serves people that need to become functional. They need some healing from trauma, from pain, so that they're kind of on their feet a little bit, right? Coaching, I think, takes someone who's functioning all right, but they want to level up. They just want to go to the highest level. So it's like once you get out of the hospital and your leg is screwed together and put back together, you go through your physical therapy and all right, now you can stand on your feet, you can walk around. Now I can do yoga with you, or I can teach you how to dance because your leg is functional. You might have a limp forever, but at least it's functional. And I think coaching takes people from whatever, however you want to put that, some level of, hey, I'm functioning all right. Okay. I'm not falling apart. I'm able to engage here, but I want to be better. I want to take it to the next level. I want my love life to have less drama, and I don't want to have these disappointing patterns I've been in forever. Right. So I guess that's how I'd answer. There's healing, and then there's kind of a leveling up difference in my mind anyway, between therapy and coaching.
So give me a blue sky this for a moment. We go through not just your program, but we go through any number of different ways in which we become healthier in our relationships, and we understand them a little bit more. We understand us a little bit more. Where ultimately do we want to, do we hope to be? And I know it will be that the answer to that will be different based upon where we begin or who we are, the goals that we have, but where ultimately, in your opinion, should people be heading in the nature of their relationships?
I think the ultimate goal is to be able to relate with another person from a place, it's not like a cliche, but from a place of love and trust rather than from fear and manipulation. Okay. When these 7 relationship muscles are sort of healthy, you're able to love, meaning what can I do to support you and who you are? I'm in this relationship in order to give to you, to support you, to offer my gifts to you, rather than I'm in this relationship to get. Okay. Most of us go into relationships because I call it the 4F words or 4F phrases. Okay. But they're not that word, but just to have fun with it. Either to fill a void, or to fix a problem, or to finish a story, like I've been abandoned, I'm not wanted, or to find an identity. A lot of us don't feel like we're somebody if we're not in a relationship, right? So most of us get in relationship for ego needs, to deal with those things. So now I'm in the relationship, not to give love, I'm in a relationship to get something from you. I need you to fill that void. I need you to, right? So whenever you're in that kind of mentality, you will always attract someone who is also in the relationship to get something from you. So now you're in codependency. I'm depending on you to meet my emotional needs, to fix my wounds and heal my background. And I'm in this relationship with you to fix you, to heal you. And now you're depending on each other for all that. That's just going to create drama, because life partners make lousy life sources. Okay. Like we're not very good at meeting each other's emotional needs, not consistently, right? So codependence leads to drama all the time. And then drama leads to divorce or being dumped and all that kind of stuff. But the flip side of that is when you do your own work and you find there is no void, there is no problem to fix, there is no story to finish, there is an identity that's here already. When you know that you are whole and complete unto yourself, then you can be in a relationship and say, I'm here to love, I'm here to give, I'm not here to get something from you. And that changes everything. Now you got people who are just trying to put their love and give their gifts to each other. And they're not in there trying to get, you got to pay more attention to me because I've always felt lonely. And then there's that tug and, well, you got to give me more sex because I've never really felt desirable by women. And right. And you're in that tug of war about, the power struggle of, are you giving as much as you're getting? And I don't want to be giving too much. And, and all that imbalance and all that stuff that I think everybody's done. I know I did that.
I think that when your happiness relies upon somebody else's behavior, that's never a good starting point for anything. Right. And I couldn't agree with you more. So, yeah. Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate you being on the show and sharing your expertise. For those, again, in our community that want to get a good starting point is right here, the Relationship Fitness Self-Test, just at coachingwithroy.com. Just go over to that homepage and then just click the link on the right-hand side of the page for
and everything else you might want to need about me is right there. My cell phone's on the homepage. I mean, you text me, call me, let's talk. I mean, I do free sessions with someone who wants to explore my program with me. I would never expect someone to write a check without first talking to me about it.
Roy's a great guy. I've had a chance to connect with him a couple of times, and a good buddy of mine, Michael Neely, put us together. I know he's got some great books out there on the market. I know he's got e-courses. He is the real deal. He's legit. He's in the business full time. This is not just a little part-time thing to help get people. He's not the matchmaker that said, "Hey, I can make a business out of this." He's got the goods. So make sure you take advantage of him. Thanks, Roy, for being on the show today.
Thank you, Doug.
Hey, don't forget, head over to the show notes if you want to get more information about Roy. You want to get his website. You want to get the Relationship Fitness Self-Test. All right, we're out of here. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
For the nice guys on business, I'm Steve O'Brien. And may the force be with them. They need all the help they can get.